On Two Wheels this week, Wayne spends the day with Speedway star Joe Screen. Jeff rides a very special 50th Anniversary Honda Blackbird, and we'll see how an ice hockey arena in Manchester was turned into a Supercross track.
Now we all know Honda's Super Blackbird. Super smooth sports tourer, 180 miles an hour, can get one for just under 8 grand or even 7.2 as a parallel. So what makes this one worth £15,500? So how about another 60cc, some very special bits and 40 brake horsepower? But this is no parts bin special. This is V&M's 1200 Super Blackbird, built to commemorate Honda's 50th anniversary. So what do you get? Well, probably the most noticeable thing is this red and white paint job. The white panel up the front here, distinctive V&M there, carbon fibre trim round there, some very neat decals there, 50th anniversary, and a gold Honda on the tank. But these are sort of fairly minor ones. There's even a little plaque on the headstock telling you which number you have got. Coming back here, you've got this absolutely beautiful Akrapovic exhaust system running straight through from the engine to the back, single-sided as you can see. A road legal one as well, not a race job, but it's still got a lovely exhaust note. Underneath there, you've got a Penske rear shock, and that is adjustable for compression, preload and rebound damping. And so that's 1 up on a Blackbird, or even 2 up on a Blackbird. The adjuster is actually under the seat here. This one here is for your compression damping on that big gold knob there. Then underneath at the bottom of the rear suspension unit is the rebound damper, tucked right up under there, but with a small screwdriver you'll get at it. Also helping make it that little bit special are these absolutely brilliant LSL rear sets. LSL are a German firm and these really are the business. The engineering on them is absolutely superb. Even the pillion footrest, they get a knurled footrest as well. It's also got an LSL chain guard on the other side. And up the top here, just like a Ducati 916, across the fork yokes is an LSL steering damper. Very neat kit. But do you need a steering damper? I doubt it, but it looks good, and at 200 miles an hour I suppose it could prove useful. However, the Penske shock is certainly more sophisticated than a stock one, and coupled to a weight reduction of 10 kilos, it does give a lighter, more responsive feel to what is already a fine handling bike. And you need it with that motor snapping at your heels and raring to go. And see these? These are not just for ordinary ventilation as on the standard Blackbird. These feed a pressurised airbox taking air straight back to the carburettors. But not only that, they make an absolutely fantastic sound. You just listen to this. Hear that? That's not the exhaust, that's these. Brilliant. Now that wonderful noise from that airbox is down to these, the carburettors. These are modified. We're now in V&M's workshop where you can have a look, see at all the bits and pieces. So standard carburettors, but suitably modified and rejetted. They, of course, feed the gas into the cylinder head. Now the cylinder head on the Super Blackbird has been gas flowed, as you can see down these ports. Beautiful, these inlet ports. And also heads polished within there. Out of interest, you can see a standard Blackbird. It's a decent job, like all Jap engines, nicely engineered, but they're still rough down the ports, and you can see they're pretty dark down there. But that one looks much better anyway. And it does the business, which is more important. Also what you've got in there, 2mm oversized pistons. There they are, compared with the others. You can't really see the difference in size, but don't they look pretty, eh? Shorter skirts on them, as you can see. But the biggest thing is probably these rods. These are Corello rods, as against the standard ones, which look quite agricultural. These will stand far higher revs and won't fly apart, hopefully. Coming to the camshafts, these are the new ones, nitrided cams, completely new cams, reprofiled, well, a different profile. You could say they've got a wider opening for the valves compared with the standard one. You really can't see that much difference, but believe me, there is a difference. Ding. Finally, you come to the cylinder block. Not much to see, other than there's an extra 2mm out of that. But this is all really engineered really well, and I think this is what V&M pride themselves on. It is engine preparation, and it's absolutely spot on. I'm in my oil tot. Fast? You bet your Hayabusas it is. Wind it on through the standard gearbox and listen to that induction roar as this bird really starts to fly. But it's not a crazy kick, it's more an irresistible urge as it spins its way to an 11,300 rev limit, by which time you will be nudging an indicated 200 miles an hour. Back it off in the interest of survival and you still have a mega bird, tractable and more to the point, highly usable. This bird really does sing. The rest of the bike is familiar Blackbird, complete with link brakes that will haul you back down to zero nearly as quick as you left it. So it might still be a Blackbird, but not as we know it. There will only ever be 50 of them, but is it worth twice as much as a standard bike or even a Hayabusa? You get blistering performance and race bike standards of preparation and exclusivity. And like anything exclusive, it's worth it if it's worth it to you.
This is the MEN Arena here in Manchester. Now, many of you will know it, and you'll know that it normally looks like this because it is home to the Manchester Storm ice hockey team. It's also the home of the Manchester Giants' famous basketball team. It's used for big pop concerts and all sorts of other shows. The Manchester Motorcycle Show was here a few years ago. But this weekend, it's host to the International Supercross. So we're going to go from ice hockey pitch to a Supercross track. So how do you turn an ice hockey arena into a motocross track? Well, if I don't get full of muck here, the ice is still here, underneath here. The ice is there. What they do is they put boards over the ice, then polythene over the boards, over the wood, and then this rigid plastic sheeting. So it's still there, and then basically fill it over with muck. So this isn't just any old muck though, this is very good quality muck. It's carefully screened, there are no stones in it at all. And interestingly, it's actually hired all this dirt here, and there's some 3,000 tonnes that will be in this arena by the time it's finished. And that's about 150 lorry loads of dirt. It's all hired, it all has to go back when they finish. There goes another one of the 150 lorries that will be in and out of this arena today. We're now just over 24 hours away from the start of racing. This is Friday morning. Racing will start around about midday, or qualifying should I say, on Saturday, so not much time to complete this task. But how does he know where to go with that wagon full of dirt? Well, the whole operation is very, very carefully planned. They work to a plan. They have a track plan which shows the layout of the circuit with all the jumps. There are people directing him and telling him where to put his muck, and the whole operation is very, very carefully choreographed. Well, here we are. We're now about 6.5 hours into the operation. Dirt started coming in at 6 o'clock this morning. Yes, I was here at 6 o'clock this morning. You can see now though that the track is starting to look a little bit like a track. You can see the bumps taking shape here. This digger, bulldozer thing has been smoothing them out and shaping them all morning. One of the big jumps down there, you can see there now, virtually done. The crowd that are sitting in those seats are going to get a spectacular view, but still an awful lot more dirt to come in, and will it be ready on time? Who knows? I don't believe this. No wonder nobody else wanted to come and do this. Go to the arena, do the Supercross, it'll be really interesting, yeah. I'm never going to shift this lot. Well, we're nearly there now. The track's almost ready. Most of the jumps are in place. Just a bit of final grooming to be done now. The straw bales, etc., that kind of thing need to be placed around the track. We've got over 150 lorry loads. That's over 3,000 tonnes of dirt in the arena. But less than 12 hours after the event finishes, it's all got to be out of the arena because the day after there's an ice hockey match. Rather them than me. Well, it's made me appreciate the work that goes on backstage. But in case you haven't paid attention, here's a quick look at how it was done. Well, everything was completed on time and a great night out was had by all. And on two wheels after the break, Wayne meets top speedway rider Joe Screen.
We're going to do a feature on somebody who goes round in circles on his motorbike, just like this. No, not that's me doing the wall of death, for goodness sake. No, this fella goes round in circles, but a little bit different. He does it on shale and he does it on grass because he's an international speedway and grass track rider. He's the winner of many of these things as well because he's won titles internationally as world champion. He's won British championships. He's won just about flaming everything, to be honest with you. And that's Joe Screen, who's an international speedway rider. Tell you what, Joe, you look a damn sight more impressive riding a speedway bike than I do going round that wall of death thing. But to get that good, you must have started when you were still in nappies, maybe.
Yeah, I started off riding bikes about 4 or 5.
Yeah.
From, my dad sort of used to ride a little bit, and he sort of got me a little bike and did a bit of junior grass tracking, and sort of started on speedway when I was about 15.
But there's a story with that, isn't there? This starting speedway when you're 15, you sort of, you didn't get kicked out of school, did you? But like you weren't going for further education and being a doctor or anything.
Yeah, I left sort of school on a Wednesday and rode for Bellevue on the Friday.
That's
really.
unbelievable.
Just, I didn't want to stay at school longer than I had to, and you know, I had the option of making something, and I went ahead and tried to do it.
But you've had success no end, haven't you? I mean, as we speak now, you've been riding for a Polish team, a Swedish team. You've done World GPs as we speak. You're doing them at the moment. Flipping it, it's worked for you. Whatever you've done has worked for you. But don't you get a bit like miffed travelling here, there, and everywhere every day of the week?
Not really. You know, we you know, say a week in the life of a speedway rider is sort of, you could be at Wolverhampton on Monday, you know, Sweden on a Tuesday, back to England racing here on a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then you're away doing the GPs a sort of Saturday, and then Poland Sunday. So it is heavy, but you know, you have mechanics to do your bikes, and you leave bikes sort of in Poland and Sweden and
oh, so they're not like inflatable, these things. You don't pack them up in a suitcase and then re-inflate them when you get to Poland. You have a bike in Poland, a bike in Sweden.
Well, say bikes, you have sort of rolling chassis, and you fly over with engines. We have special boxes for put the engines in there, and we fly over. An engine only weighs about 25-30 kilos, so
right, yeah.
They're not that heavy. You know, you can't take them on hand luggage.
No.
You know, your arms will be pulled out walking down the plane.
Yeah, I can believe that, yeah.
Like,
but you can pretend you just pack a lot of clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Tell us about your career highlight. I mean, am I right to assume winning the world title under 21 was a highlight?
Yeah, I've won the British one twice, and you know, I won the world under 21 when I was sort of, you know, right at the end of
28.
The last sort of year I could do. But I've had, you know, a few honours in grass tracks. You know, I won the British grass track twice, and with starting off at grass track is more of a sort of a highlight in my life winning that, as in starting from there. So
Yeah.
the speedway is good though, you know, your butter and all your money's earned by the speedway side of it. So it's sort of, you know, you got to concentrate on more than that. And I would love to do more grass tracking, but it's hard when speedway gets in the way.
Yeah, I know it's not a nice subject to sort of linger on or even touch really, and that is injuries, because your career could be cut very short if you have a bit of an injury or something. That cuts it short. But you've bounced back from major injuries, because when you did some world, when you had to qualify for the World GPs, you had a bad injury, didn't you?
Well, I crashed in the end of '95, and I spent all year qualifying to get into the GPs, and you know, sort of 3 weeks before I crashed and broke my foot and compressed a vertebrae. I was in hospital about a week and sort of discharged myself and went and rode in this the Grand Prix Challenge, they call it, which sort of I qualified in 5th.
That's noted, discharging yourself, you know, but I suppose you're a man on a mission, you want results, and I suppose the only way you can do it, they won't put the meeting back just because you're laid up, will they?
It took me all year to sort of qualify, and it was a lot of hard work we went through to do that meeting, and you know, as long as I could sit on a bike and ride, which I did do. I was still on crutches, I couldn't actually walk, but we did it. You know, all the hard work paid off at the end of that meeting, and you know, I still suffer now from them injuries, but not as much as I did at the time.
So tell us a bit about the bikes then, Joe, because you see a lot of the guys that are watching this programme, there's obviously a lot of families and people go and watch Speedway, but there's also a lot that don't, and it'd be nice to encourage them and indicate to them how stupid these bikes are. First thing I know, no brakes. There's something wrong with you.
No brakes at all, mate. You have 500cc cylinder engines. As you've noticed, there's none in at the moment because they're away being tuned. You know, you have sort of a big cog on the back, sort of depends on which track you're riding, the change of the gears sort of ratio. You know, you have a sort of dry clutch, which, you know, the plates in them don't last very long. You can do all sorts of timing, the jetting and the sort of gearing alters which track you ride and the different surfaces you ride.
So you do go out and kick the shale a bit and weigh up how many teeth you want on the back, whether you want your 40s, your 50s or whatever, and then the same applies, you alter your ignition timing and things, don't you, with these magic black boxes?
5 or 6 degrees, different what tracks, you know, it depends on the surface. Some tracks are a lot grippier than others, and you know, basically if a track's very grippy, you set the bike up very strong, and if it's very slick, you kill it off a little bit.
Do you have are the frames unique to you? Do you have you know, like a specific size or whatever to suit you as a rider?
Not really. You can go out and buy these frame kits from sort of antique. There's three different kinds of frame.
Is there?
You know, there's a Czech company, two English companies, and different riders ride different frames to suit them. But you know, there's not much difference between them all anyway. You can actually ride your mate's bike who's a different style frame and still get on with it.
Because you do a bit of that, don't you, bike swapping and things, I've noticed. You know, if things go wrong, because you're in a team, there's naturally a bit of help from the other members. And I've seen it where people, you know, they're sat on the grid, the bike goes wrong, they throw it to one side, another bike comes out, which has been indicated by the commentators isn't their bike, they've loaned a bike.
Sometimes it depends if your spare bike, you have 2 bikes at a meeting anyway, and if your spare bike's ready to go out, you know, you get on that, but a lot of times you don't have time with the 2-minute ruling we have.
It's quite tight, isn't it?
It is very tight, and sort of say your teammate, his bike's all ready to go on it, and your spare bike's cold, they wheel that out for you, and you know, they say it's difficult, but a lot of the bikes near enough the same. It's sort of the seat height and the way the handlebars are. I run my handlebars very low to compare with the riders use them a lot higher, and just that setup really is different.
What about the gear now? Because you are famous for your fancy Union Jack suit. People do look at your bum.
Yes.
Well, they have to, because that's where the camera's... Yeah, I didn't want to say that. But the camera's poised there, you've got this fantastic Union Jack suit, and you've got tassels on your suit, of which I take the mickey of, because when you set off from the start, you have this thing about looking like a chicken, because you do this. Obviously, your concentration mode, but your tassels are waving. Where do the tassels originate from?
Well, I used to go to sort of Sheffield Speedway when I was a kid, and my hero was sort of Dougie Wire, and he used to have tassels and sort of...
right.
You know, I started off, never had them to start with, and then I thought, you know, bring it back into it.
Well, it was good for Dougie, so it might be good for you.
Something
sort of thing,
different, and it's sort of a trademark now.
Well, they are a trademark, yeah, people talk about them, they are a trademark. And the Union Jack fancy suit. What's the suit made out of, like?
It's half nylon, half Kevlar, or you know, a little bit of nylon on the Kevlar. You know, they don't last that long really. No. You know, you'd go through about 2 or 3 sets a year.
But they've got to be light, haven't they? Really?
They've got to be light. You've got to feel like you can move around, and you know, with leather, it's a lot heavier, and a lot of, when they brought it out, a lot of riders thought it was good because you didn't have to wash them as much as leathers. You could just throw them in the washing machine. With leather, you've got to stand there and scrub them and put some of that horse wax in there.
For goodness sake. Well, I suppose really we better let you get on to doing some preparation, because as you appointed, there's no engines in these bikes. You've got your carbs to clean and all the bits that you've got to do ready for tonight, because it happens to be tonight you have got a race meeting at Hull, haven't you?
Yeah,
so you've got to travel. We're in Warrington now, where you live, and we've got to go to, where have you got to go now?
Got to go Hull.
Hull, and then what about the rest of the week? Where you?
Well, I've got Ipswich tomorrow, England versus USA. Test match, which is sort of runs, one's Thursday at Ipswich, Saturday we're at Eastbourne, Monday we're at Wolverhampton.
Flipping it.
But which is pretty steady really, because it's all in one country, which is good. If it was sort of Ipswich Thursday, say Sweden Friday, you know, Eastbourne Saturday, Poland
So you've
Sunday.
got a quiet week ahead of you.
Got a quiet week.
But you have got to sit in this van going down the motorway a bit, so you've got a few hours. Well, fair enough, I suppose we better let you get on with it then. Cheers, Joe.
This is a motorcycle showroom. It's the kind of place you would visit if you wanted to look at all the latest machinery.
Not only have you got all the latest machines to look at, you've got all the latest accessories as well. You've got your supes, your boots, your helmets, your gloves, alarms, locks, chains, everything. What more could you ask for?
But if you do want to see absolutely everything, then you need to go to a bike show. And the Two Wheels team will be at the biggest event this year, the International Show in Birmingham.
So why don't you come and see us at the show, and we'll give you some advice on the best helmets to buy and the best jackets and clothing to wear, and even on bike testing. Paul and Jeff have done loads of testing. They'll give you some of their ideas, what they thought was best. Because we are real, we're humans, you know. You can speak to us, even buy us a drink maybe. Come and see us down at the bike show.
And all the details of where we will be and when we will be there can be found on the Men & Motors website. So have a look and we'll see you there. On Two Wheels next week, it's my turn for a day out. I travel to Wigan to spend the day with the British 350cc Youth Grass Track Champion. Is this the dirtiest form of motorcycle sport in the world? Join us next week and you'll find out.